The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, November 20, reveal that Sally Spectra will feel the need to even the score somehow. It turns out Sally will have some unfinished business, but she's already made it clear that she has nothing left to say to Adam Newman. Of course, that could change if Adam tries to feud with Billy Abbott in front of Sally or something along those lines. In that case, Sally might cozy up to Billy just to get under Adam's skin. Then again, maybe Sally could even the score another way. This might involve something a little more lighthearted if Sally surprises Billy with something fun that could bring them closer. Regardless, Sally and Billy will definitely deal with some temptation in the coming episodes. The more Billy and Sally get to know each other, the harder it'll be to avoid hitting the sheets. Meanwhile, Daniel Romalotti Jr. will push for justice in Wednesday's I&R episode. That goes for both Heather Stevens and Phyllis Summers, who still hasn't regained consciousness at the hospital. After showing up at the cottage to confront Sharon Newman, Daniel may have a chance to put her on full blast, at least until Nick Newman and Michael Baldwin intervene. Although Sharon will feel like she deserves Daniel's fury and so much more, Nick will still try to shield her as best as he can. Michael will also keep working on Sharon's legal defense, but he's sure to face some backlash from Christine Blair. Christine may object to Michael even taking Sharon's case, but Michael just won't think Sharon would have eliminated Heather and framed Daniel in her right mind. Michael will continue pursue this altered medication angle and might make a prediction about getting Sharon off the hook. As for Jordan, she may assure Ian Ward that she's still committed to their partnership. If Jordan does everything Ian requests regarding Sharon, then they can focus on her pulling off Jordan's vengeful goals next. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Jordan and Ian's alliance could come with complications, so we'll bring you more updates on all the wild news to come. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks are here. From November 18 to 29, 2024, fans can expect Chance Chancellor to find evidence against Sharon Newman. Jordan and Ian Ward continue targeting Sharon. Meanwhile, what does the future hold for Phyllis Summers after that fiery crash? Keep reading to find out what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Sharon Newman's confession. E&R spoilers for the week of November 18 reveal that Chance will arrive at Sharon's cabin. Chance will want to know what is going on. Sharon confessed to Nick, but had him tell Faith Newman about her list of crimes. Sharon should have done it herself, but she might be too ashamed to look Faith in the eyes. Y&R spoilers, Chance Chancellor's proof. In any case, it seems Nick will have some doubts that Sharon really did these crimes. So Nick might urge Chance to investigate before arresting Sharon. Chance does find evidence, but it suggests Sharon is guilty. When Faith pipes up that Sharon lost her phone at the time of those text messages, it could prompt Chance to wonder what's really going on. It could also explain why Daniel Romalotti Jr. suddenly demands answers from Nick. If Nick suddenly stops defending Sharon, it could make Daniel wonder if something's changed. The Young and the Restless spoilers, week of November 18, 2024. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of November 18 reveal that Jordan and Ian continue targeting Sharon. Daniel and Summer Newman struggle with Phyllis' condition. Elena Dawson does share some advice on how to help Phyllis, though. Over with Christine Blair, she debates about Sharon's innocence with Michael Baldwin. Kyle Abbott will struggle with Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott's scheme. Sally Spectra settles a score. Victor Newman announces Mickey Newman as CEO of Chancellor. Y&R spoilers, next 2 weeks. During the week of November 25, Genoa City residents will celebrate Thanksgiving. Sharon and Nick usually do some charitable work. However, with everything going on, not too many people will be feeling grateful. In fact, Faith and Maria Copeland will react to Sharon's confession. It is likely that Sharon gets some more mental health help. However, with Jordan and Ian on the loose, it seems there is more danger and delusions ahead. Which storyline are you looking forward to the most in the next 2 weeks? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 indicate some explosive moments in the land of Geno City. Next on Young and the Restless. An ex-husband gains the upper hand, while 2 villains target a victim, and someone wants answers. What kind of drama is set to unravel on Tuesday? Time to dive right in. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Victor Newman gains the upper hand. My and our spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 reveal that Victor Newman will get the upper hand on Diane Abbott. Diane and Jack Abbott pretended to split up in order to expose the moustache to Kyle Abbott. Recently, however, has Victor been on to Dak all along? Was it part of his plan to cut Kyle loose from Glissade by having Diane fire him? How will Victor gain the upper hand? Fans will have to tune in to find out. My and our spoilers, Ian Ward and Jordan target Sharon Newman. Across town, Y and R spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 imply that Ian Ward and Jordan will target Sharon Newman. What else could they possibly do to the poor woman at this point? They've already framed her for the Heather Stevens murder, so what other terrible things do they have up their sleeves? Looks like Heather's murder may only be the beginning of the chaos Ian and Jordan cause in the weeks ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Daniel Rumalotti wants answers. Speaking of Sharon, Y and R spoilers for Tuesday's show reveal that Daniel Rumalotti will demand answers from Nick Newman. As Sharon confessed to Heather's murder during the Monday, November 18 episode, Daniel will likely learn on Tuesday that his charges have been dropped. While he'll be happy there's no longer a threat of prison time, Daniel will also want answers. Will Nick be the one to offer them? Are you excited about Tuesday's episode? Join the conversation below. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for Tuesday, November 19, reveals that Diane Jenkins Abbott will walk into the Newman ranch house thinking she's got the upper hand. Diane and Jack Abbott accomplish their goal of saving Kyle Abbott from Victor Newman's clutches. So what's next? It's possible Diane will be ready to tell Victor that he's been deceived, and she may plan to take great pleasure in doing it. Diane might waltz in thinking that she'll drop that knowledge on Victor and gloat over her scheme with Jack. However, Diane might ultimately change her mind and decide to keep the charade going. Once Victor confirms he's forwarded the signed Glissade papers, Diane might extend the scheme and try to destroy Jibbott's competition from the inside. Of course, it's also possible Victor already knows about Jack and Diane's grand plan. Maybe Victor is duping Diane and Jack as well, with his own twisted motives in mind. No matter how this plays out, Victor is really the one who's got the edge here. Our My and our predictions hint that could lead to troubling news for the Abbott soon enough. As for Diane, she'll prove her love for her family by making some sort of sacrifice. Though Jack won't find out until later during the week of November 18 to 22. Over with Daniel Rumalotti. He'll interrogate Nick Newman about Sharon Newman's arrest and how it all went down. Nick will be in a tight spot as Daniel pushes for updates on Sharon's guilty actions. Since Sharon wasn't in her right mind, part of Nick may still be sympathetic on some level. Daniel should find out about Sharon causing Heather Stevens' fatal outcome and then framing him for it, so he certainly won't have any sympathy for her. In fact, Daniel may be appalled over Nick still caring about Sharon at all, especially since she believes she caused Phyllis' car crash on top of everything else. However, it's Jordan and Ian Ward who have been pulling the strings. Ian and Jordan have forced Sharon down this wild path, so she's not as guilty as she appears to be. Jordan seemingly drove Phyllis off the road near Sharon's house, and it'll probably be revealed that she's the one who bashed Heather's head in, too. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon will be ready to face the consequences of her crimes, but Ian and Jordan have committed the worst ones. Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, November 19, indicate some explosive moments in the land of Genoa City. Next on Young and the Restless. An ex-husband gains the upper hand, while two villains target a victim, and someone wants answers. What kind of drama is set to unravel on Tuesday? Time to dive right in. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Victor Newman gains the upper hand. Y&R spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 reveal that Victor Newman will get the upper hand on Diane Abbott. Diane and Jack Abbott pretended to split up in order to expose the mustache to Kyle Abbott. Recently, however, has Victor been on to Dak all along? Was it part of his plan to cut Kyle loose from Glissade by having Diane fire him? How will Victor gain the upper hand? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Y&R spoilers, Ian Ward and Jordan target Sharon Newman. Across town, Y&R spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 imply that Ian Ward and Jordan will target Sharon Newman. What else could they possibly do to the poor woman at this point? They've already framed her for the Heather Stevens murder, so what other terrible things do they have up their sleeves? Looks like Heather's murder may only be the beginning of the chaos Ian and Jordan cause in the weeks ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Daniel Romalotti wants answers. Speaking of Sharon, Y&R spoilers for Tuesday's show reveal that Daniel Romalotti will demand answers from Nick Newman. As Sharon confessed to Heather's murder during the Monday, November 18 episode, Daniel will likely learn on Tuesday that his charges have been dropped. While he'll be happy there's no longer a threat of prison time, Daniel will also want answers. Will Nick be the one to offer them? Are you excited about Tuesday's episode? Join the conversation below. Tune into the CBS Soap Daily to catch all the drama in Genoa City, and visit SOS for the best Young and the Restless spoilers, updates, and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers recap for Tuesday, November 19, reveals that Nick Newman will convince Michael Baldwin to take Sharon Newman's case, so he'll get Sharon out on bail at her arraignment. Once Sharon comes home with Nick and Michael, they'll push her to start working on a legal defense. Sharon will insist she's guilty and needs to pay, but Michael will want to use Sharon's messed up meds as a way to potentially keep her out of prison. At the hospital, Chance Chancellor will give Daniel Romalotti Jr. a heads up on the charges against him being dropped, so Daniel will assume Sharon must have confessed. Christine Blair will also receive news on Daniel being in the clear and will vow to pray for Phyllis Summers. Despite all their issues, Christine won't really be able to imagine a world without Phyllis in it. Next on Tuesday's I&R episode, Summer Newman will show up and get updates on the latest case developments, so she'll push Phyllis to wake up and say, "I told you so." Later, Daniel will arrive at the cottage and glare at Sharon once he walks through the door. "How could you?" Daniel will ask Sharon as she stands there all weepy. In their cheap motel room, Jordan will tell Ian Ward that Sharon confessed, just as it should have been from the beginning. Ian will be surprised over how cunning Sharon proved to be, but he'll suggest her conscience is what got her in the end. It'll be obvious that Ian's goal is to put Sharon behind bars and rip her away from the people she loves. After Ian and Jordan dine together, he'll push for info on how Sharon's family is reacting to her arrest. Jordan will admit she hasn't been able to find that out yet, so Ian will seem agitated and remind her that they had a deal. Once Ian pushes Jordan to help him and get help with her family problem in return, he'll insist it's a crisscross and will want confirmation that she understands. At the Abbott mansion, Diane Jenkins Abbott will talk to Jack Abbott about their plan to get Victor Newman to sign over Glissade and then give it to Kyle Abbott. However, Diane will worry it may not be enough to earn Kyle's forgiveness. At the GCAC, Claire Newman will give Kyle another nudge to let go of all his anger. Once Jack arrives, Claire will take that as her cue to leave and let him speak with Kyle alone. Kyle will taunt Jack a bit by suggesting there's still time to warn Victor about his parents' deception. However, Kyle will mostly seem like he's trying to get under Jack's skin since he doesn't trust Victor anymore either. Although Jack will beg Kyle to believe that his plot with Diane came from a place of love, Kyle will struggle to believe his father after everything that's happened. At the Newman Ranch, Victor will shock Nikki Newman when he fills her in on Sharon's arrest for Heather Stevens' murder. Nikki will also learn that Sharon was apparently involved in Phyllis' crash. Once Diane shows up for a meeting, Victor will insist he forwarded all the paperwork to transfer Glissade over to her. Diane will feel like there must be a catch since it was too easy, but Victor will insist he hates Jack's guts and that Glissade means nothing to him. After Victor suggests Diane go to Paris and run the company from there, he'll wrap up the meeting and turn his attention to Nikki. Although Nikki won't understand Victor's motives for giving Glissade to Diane, he'll hint that it'll be the company that keeps on giving. Victor will add that Diane will be in for a huge surprise when she realizes what she's been given. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Victor's upper hand will be revealed soon, so stick with us for more predictions on his curveball. CDL will have other sizzling Young and the Restless spoilers, predictions, updates, and news to read up on, so make us your top Y and R source. Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 indicate some explosive moments in the land of Genoa City. Next on Young and the Restless, an ex-husband gains the upper hand, while two villains target a victim, and someone wants answers. What kind of drama is set to unravel on Tuesday? Time to dive right in. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Victor Newman gains the upper hand. Y and R spoilers for Tuesday, November 19 reveal that Victor Newman will get the upper hand on Diane Abbott. Diane and Jack Abbott pretended to split up in order to expose the mustache to Kyle Abbott. Recently, however, has Victor been on to Dak all along? Was it part of his plan to cut Kyle loose from Glissade by having Diane fire him? How will Victor gain the upper hand? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Y and R spoilers, Ian Ward and Jordan target Sharon Newman. Across town, Y and R spoilers for Tuesday, November 19, imply that Ian Ward and Jordan will target Sharon Newman. What else could they possibly do to the poor woman at this point? They've already framed her for the Heather Stevens murder, so what other terrible things do they have up their sleeves? Looks like Heather's murder may only be the beginning of the chaos Ian and Jordan cause in the weeks ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Daniel Romalotti wants answers. Speaking of Sharon, Y and R spoilers for Tuesday's show reveal that Daniel Romalotti will demand answers from Nick Newman. As Sharon confessed to Heather's murder during the Monday, November 18 episode, Daniel will likely learn on Tuesday that his charges have been dropped. While he'll be happy there's no longer a threat of prison time, Daniel will also want answers. Will Nick be the one to offer them? The Young and the Restless scoop for Tuesday, November 19 reveals Daniel Romalotti will confront Sharon Newman. Also coming up, Ian Ward and Jordan Howard will discuss the deal they made. Plus, Victor Newman will sign Glissade over to Diane Jenkins, and Maria Copeland will struggle with what her mom has done. I and R spoilers tease Victor will tell Nikki Newman that Sharon was arrested for the murder of Heather Stevens. Nikki won't believe it at first, but Victor will tell her Sharon confessed and admitted she framed Daniel for the crime. My and R Daily Scoop. Nikki stunned Victor gave Glissade to Diane. That isn't all of it. Apparently Sharon was involved in Phyllis' car accident, he'll add. Nikki will ask if Phyllis Summers will be okay, and Victor will say she's in critical condition. Poor Summer, she must be beside herself about Phyllis, Nikki will reply. Then Diane will arrive at the ranch and Victor will tell her he forwarded the signed papers, transferring Glissade to her. What's the catch? She'll ask. Victor will say he hates Jack Abbott's guts. Glissade doesn't mean a damn thing to me. After Diane leaves, Nikki will be stunned to learn that Victor gave Diane Glissade. But he'll say Diane can use it as she sees fit. Plus, he's got a trick up his sleeve. Let me just say Glissade will be the company that keeps on giving, he'll add. Diane will be in for a huge surprise when she realizes what she's been given. As for Kyle Abbott, he'll tell Claire Grace his parents made him feel like an idiot. They outright lied to me, Claire. It was all an act. But she'll say maybe Jack and Diane thought it was the only way to reach him. Does it help, being angry all the time? She'll ask. Let go of the anger, Kyle, before it eats you alive. When Jack arrives, Claire will give them time to talk, and he'll sit down with his son. You really think Victor is going to back off when he finds out you played him for a chump? Kyle will ask. Maybe I have enough time to warn him. Meanwhile, a stressed-out Mariah will lean on Tessa Porter. She can't believe her mom murdered someone. Tessa will suggest they go for a walk, but Mariah will tell her wife it won't help. I can't go anywhere without this following me. At the hospital, Daniel will sit vigil at his mom's bedside. Then Chance will walk in. Daniel, I'm sorry, he'll say. He'll ask if Christine Blair is there yet. Why would she be? Daniel will ask. Christine will arrive and Chance will tell them the charges have been dropped. Young and the Restless scoop. Jordan doesn't know their reaction. Did someone else come forward and confess? Daniel will ask. It was Sharon, wasn't it? Then he'll lean over his mother. You hear that? You were right, he'll tell Phyllis. Chance will say all he can tell him is he's a free man. After Christine leaves, Summer Newman will arrive and Daniel will bring his sister up to speed. He'll get a text and tell Summer it's confirmed. The charges against him have been dropped. At the motel, Jordan will tell Ian that Sharon finally confessed. In the end, her conscience betrayed her, he'll reply. That's the risk of having one. Ian will add that the evidence will be enough to keep Sharon behind bars for a long time. To pull Sharon away from all the people she loves, Faith, Mariah. So Ian will ask Jordan how Sharon's family reacted and Jordan will tell him she doesn't know yet. That was the whole point of this, he'll reply menacingly. If you help me, I'll help you with your family problem. Crisscross, understood? Finally, Nick Newman will ask Michael Baldwin to represent Sharon. He'll agree and he'll bail her out. When Sharon, Nick, and Michael arrive at the cabin, he'll say they need to build her defense. But Sharon will say she doesn't want one. I'm guilty, that's my defense. Michael will say she confessed without an attorney present. Because I'm guilty, she'll reply. I will stand by every word of that confession, and I will fight anyone who tries to stop me. However, Nick will tell her she needs to fight for her children. Then there will be a knock on the door. Nick will answer it and Daniel will be standing there. How could you? He'll ask a teary-eyed Sharon. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, November 19, continue to unravel Jordan and Ian's plan to seek revenge against the Newmans by targeting Sharon, who isn't even a Newman anymore. Cool, 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 cool. You are the weakest link. We kind of get it. It would be too hard for Jordan and Ian to target Victor directly, even though he's the one they have issues with, so they went with a more roundabout approach. They went after Sharon, who was already mentally fragile due to the anniversary of Cassie's death. Driving Sharon to a breakdown would hurt Mariah. Ian also has an axe to grind with Mariah. Driving Sharon to a breakdown would hurt Nick, and Jordan does have beef with Nick. A sad Nick would make Victor sad. Both Jordan and Ian want Victor to be sad. Though boy, was this a convoluted way to go about it. But Jordan and Ian think it's a great idea. So they're still at it. And still after Sharon. Reasons you know. Spokesman. Sharon told Nick that she was so far gone that she plotted to kill Daniel. Nick is not a priest or an attorney. He is not obliged to keep Sharon's secrets. Will he be able to when Daniel demands answers? After all, Daniel has been arrested for Heather's murder, which Phyllis is convinced was actually committed by Sharon. Now, Phyllis is fighting for her life, which Sharon might have also caused. Daniel thinks Nick knows what's going on. He wants Nick to confess if Sharon won't. All kneel before Vic. Diane and Jack devised a plan to outsmart Victor. No one in Genoa City is allowed to outsmart Victor. He explains this to Diane with a smirk. Silly, silly woman. You are the weakest link. We kind of get it. It would be too hard for Jordan and Ian to target Victor directly, even though he's the one they have issues with, so they went with a more roundabout approach. They went after Sharon, who was already mentally fragile due to the anniversary of Cassie's death. Driving Sharon to a breakdown would hurt Mariah. Ian also has an axe to grind with Mariah. Driving Sharon to a breakdown would hurt Nick. And Jordan does have beef with Nick. A sad Nick would make Victor sad. Both Jordan and Ian want Victor to be sad. Though boy, was this a convoluted way to go about it. But Jordan and Ian think it's a great idea. So they're still at it, and still after Sharon. Reasons, you know. Spokesman. Sharon told Nick that she was so far gone that she plotted to kill Daniel. Nick is not a priest or an attorney. He is not obliged to keep Sharon's secrets. Will he be able to when Daniel demands answers? After all, Daniel has been arrested for Heather's murder, which Phyllis is convinced was actually committed by Sharon. Now, Phyllis is fighting for her life, which Sharon might have also caused. Daniel thinks Nick knows what's going on. He wants Nick to confess if Sharon won't. All kneel before Vic. Diane and Jack devised a plan to outsmart Victor. No one in Genoa City is allowed to outsmart Victor. He explains this to Diane with a smirk. Silly, silly woman. Who else is capable of outsmarting both Victor and Jack? Kyle and Claire both had a pretty eye-opening evening on the November 18 episode of The Young and the Restless. Kyle learned that his parents faked a breakup all so they could prove to Kyle that Victor didn't give a damn about him and was just using him to mess with Jack. While Claire learned that her grandfather is the kind of person who doesn't give a damn about who he uses as long as it allows him to mess with Jack. Now, both are disillusioned. Now, both want to prove that they can't be used like pawns. What if they turn to the one person they absolutely know can make that happen? Yes, that's right, we're talking about Jordan. Track record. Sure, Jack sometimes gets the best of Victor. But in the end, Victor always comes out ahead, personally and professionally. No matter how often Nikki runs to Jack, Victor always reels her back. And no matter how often Jack proves that Victor isn't infallible, like with the con he and Diane just pulled on him, Victor still smirks and demonstrates how he's ultimately superior. So even if Kyle was willing to go to his father to ask for help with his ex-grandfather-in-law, he knows Jack can't take on the mustache. Not who I thought. And suppose Claire wants to demonstrate to her newfound grandpa that she doesn't appreciate how he's treated Kyle. In that case, she knows she can't turn to anyone except for the person who managed to fool Victor repeatedly, including now. Victor thinks Jordan is in prison. Jordan isn't in prison. She's running around Genoa City with Ian, tormenting the Newmans by tormenting Sharon, which naturally makes no sense to anyone but Jordan. But the point is, she won again, and Victor lost. Helping hands. So if Kyle and Claire want an ally, Jordan makes the most sense. She is the only one who can help them bring down both Victor and Jack, and she's going to have an even better time doing it. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick Newman is struggling with Sharon Newman's confession. Nick just cannot believe the woman he has loved most of his adult life could do the things she has confessed to. However, Nick also knows that Sharon has been having trouble with her medication as well. Will Nick call Chance Chancellor and turn Sharon over to him? The young and the restless spoilers. Chance Chancellor cannot believe his ears. The young and the restless spoilers reveal that Phyllis Summers tried to convince Chance that Sharon Newman was behind Heather Stevens' murder. However, Chance refused to listen to Phyllis and dismissed her concerns even after Sharon broke into her room at the GCAC. If Nick calls Chance with this story, there is no way he is going to believe it. Chance dated Sharon. She is not capable of this kind of violence. There has to be another explanation for this. However, Sharon insists that she was there and she hit Heather. Sharon also knows she blacked out on the road and wound up at the crash site. Sharon is convinced she had to have done it. By and our spoilers, Nick Newman doesn't have a choice. Nick knows that he needs to turn Sharon in even though he doesn't want to. However, Sharon already believes she committed these crimes. Sharon could go after someone else if she isn't taken off the streets and put away. Nick knows that he cannot allow Sharon to get by with everything she has done. Nick doesn't believe that Sharon could have done this, however, there is not other suspect that could have run Phyllis off the road. Nick may believe this is a mental issue, and that is why Sharon can't remember everything and keeps blacking out. Sharon has admitted to seeing Cameron Kirsten and taking orders from him. Is Sharon insane? The young and the restless spoilers. How long will it take to figure this out? Nick and Chance both believe something would have to be off with Sharon for her to do something like this. However, no one has considered the fact that Summer is being set up. Chance may even believe that Phyllis is somehow behind this setup. After all, Phyllis did manage to fake her death and frame Diane Jenkins. Could Chance possibly figure out that Sharon is indeed being set up and Sho is doing it? Nick and Chance may have to work together on this one to see that Sharon gets the help she needs. However, what lengths will they have to go to so they can prove Sharon's innocence? Will Chance figure out who is being this before they can cause any more issues? The young and the restless spoilers reveal that Jordan is in a position that she's not used to being in. Jordan spent years running the show and ordering Claire Newman around, but now she's taking orders from Ian Ward. It's clear that Jordan has been following Ian's instructions as part of his plan to make sure Sharon Newman lands behind bars. Ian wants Sharon ripped away from her loved ones and hopes to cause as much pain as possible. However, there could be trouble brewing based on Ian's interaction with Jordan in Y&R's November 19 episode. Ian turned a bit menacing when he found out Jordan didn't have updates on the reaction of Sharon's family yet. Ian also reminded Jordan of their deal, since she has to help him before he'll help her in exchange. Of course, we can assume Ian already helped Jordan a bit by getting her out of prison, but she still wants revenge on those who have wronged her. Jordan is presumably waiting on her chance to make Claire, Nikki Newman, Victor Newman, and the rest of the Newman family pay. If Jordan's revenge goes wrong, it could lead to her turning on Ian down the road. Since Ian has grudges against many of the Newmans as well, he might think he can take the lead on all this. That's surely not going to fly with Jordan since she wants to have her fun too. It's also possible Ian will botch things for Jordan somehow or even threaten to bail on his part of her revenge plot. There might be some situation where Ian wants to abandon the plan and flee to avoid getting caught. That wouldn't work for Jordan either since she has no intention of leaving Genoa City without the vengeance she came back for. If Ian doesn't come through when it counts, Jordan could turn against him and unleash her wrath. Jordan is usually the one who's in charge, so she may take control back somewhere down the line. It's easy to imagine Jordan turning against Ian and making him an enemy instead of an ally. The young and the restless spoilers say Jordan and Ian could be playing a very dangerous game with each other, so stick with us for more predictions on the risks and any bad news that's brewing. CDL's where you want to be for exciting young and the restless spoilers, predictions, news, and updates. so make us your favorite Y&R hotspot. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Michelle Stafford has been delighting fans lately with some fun behind-the-scenes videos. It's always exciting when Y&R stars are willing to post content that goes beyond what makes it to the screen. Stafford recently shared some clips that offered a glimpse into the making of the car crash aftermath, which brought some humorous moments with Joshua Morrow and Connor Floyd. However, in Michelle Stafford's most recent peek behind the scenes, she posted a clip of herself on the hospital set while Floyd, Michael Graziadei, Brittany Sarby, and Allison Lanier all ran lines in front of her. There were some funny moments since Stafford was sitting there wide awake instead of in a coma like the script called for. Based on Stafford's interaction with Lanier and Graziadei in this video, she obviously has a great relationship with her kids. The next part of the video involved a hilarious coffee run since Stafford was still in the makeup used for her car wreck injuries. Stafford had fake bruising all over her face as she ordered, so that brought some laughs with Graziadei and Sarby later. It looks like Michelle Stafford has been having a blast filming this storyline. Things may be rough for Phyllis at the moment, but Stafford is clearly having a good time with her co-stars when the cameras aren't rolling. As for what the future holds for Phyllis, she won't be out of commission for long. I&R fans can expect Phyllis to wake up pretty soon, so she'll join Daniel in pushing for Sharon Newman's consequences. Our predictions point to Phyllis launching more confrontations with Sharon down the road, so we'll bring you updates on all the backlash Sharon will continue to receive. Of course, there's far more to the story when it comes to Heather Stevens' grim fate and Phyllis' crash, so Phyllis should be shocked over some Jordan and Ian Ward news eventually. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon has a path out of this mess thanks to Ian and Jordan's involvement, so stay tuned. The Young and the Restless spoilers tease that Jordan is back large and in charge in GC, and she's not alone. She has Ian Ward as her accomplice. Double trouble. Ian and Jordan are a perfect crime duo, and they have already caused plenty of chaos all over town. We expect them to do a lot more damage in the coming days, which leads to the question, who will be the one to find them? The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jordan and Ian Ward land in GC. The show hit it out of the park with the Jordan/Ian alliance. No one saw it coming, and it's safe to say that gobsmacked fans had to pick their jaws up off the floor when the big reveal flashed on the screen. Jordan is supposed to be in prison, but Ian obviously pulled strings to get her out. No one is safe with Jordan on the loose, and Ian has a habit of hurting those he feels crossed him, which is a big chunk of GC. As an aside, wouldn't it be great to have Paul Williams return and be the one who takes Ian down once and for all? Y&R spoilers. Paul Williams needs to come back to GC. Victor Newman has given no indication that he knows about Jordan's escape, which means that his loved ones are in danger, especially Harrison Abbott. Jordan once kidnapped Harrison, and at his age, the adults may not believe him if he says that he saw the witch again. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jordan is a witch. After Harrison's abduction, he once thought he saw Jordan at the park, but he was mistaken. It would be easy to see how the adults, including Claire Grace, Kyle Abbott, and Summer Newman, would not believe the lad. Y&R spoilers. Will Claire believe Harrison? If Harrison does see Jordan, it makes sense that he'd tell Claire first since they were kidnapped together. She may be more inclined to believe him and tell Victor Newman, who could be the one to rumble his enemy. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jordan and Ian wreak havoc. Tell us Y&R fans, how did you react to seeing Jordan and Ian back in action? Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Y&R right now. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At the Abbott house, Dane tells Kyle that their war was a ruse. Kyle protests. They've been arguing for weeks. Jack confirms it was all just a show. We did this all for you, son. It was an act to save you. Jack asks Claire to give them some privacy, but Kyle says she can stay. Claire decides she should go upstairs and check on Harrison. Kyle fumes. Save me. From what? Jack and Diane say Victor and himself. Kyle says he can handle himself with Victor. They saw how deep Victor was getting his claws into him, and they didn't want that. Diane says he was only using him to hurt his father. They tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen, so they took extreme measures to open his eyes to the truth. Kyle says the truth is that he thought their marriage was over. He was ready to write his mother off, and they said terrible things to each other. This was for my benefit. Jack and Diane hated it. She says it broke her heart to be so awful to Kyle. Elena joins Summer and Daniel at Phyllis' hospital bed and tells them she's stable, but she isn't responding. A neurologist is on the way. She'll let them know as soon as results from her tests come in. She assures them she's in good hands and leaves. Daniel and Summer discuss Nick saying their mother had been run off the road. Daniel wonders what if this wasn't an accident. Summer can't think about that right now. Chance comes in and asks for an update. Summer asks where her dad went. Chance isn't sure. He should be there by now. He tells them when they got there, Phyllis' car was on fire. There were tire marks indicating someone swerved into her lane. Summer asks about the other car. Chance says they must not have stopped. Daniel says, so, it was intentional. At Sharon's house, she asks Nick again if he wants to call Chance. He doesn't respond. She thinks he hates her now and pleads with him to respond. She has to face up to what she's done. She can't live with the guilt and fear any longer. Sharon sobs. She knows this will probably destroy them, but she can't live this way anymore. I swear, I never meant to do any of these things. Heather's death was an accident. She cries that she panicked and shouldn't have tried to cover it up. She didn't know what else to do. Sharon tells Nick she's been sick inside ever since. There were so many times she wanted to let it out, but Cameron would warn her of the consequences. She asks him to believe her that she covered this up, not for herself, but for their kids, knowing what it would do to them to find out their mother killed an innocent woman. That thought stopped her until tonight. Tonight, she almost killed Phyllis. I cannot live with this guilt inside of me anymore, so I told you. She asks him to call Chance for her so she can finally put this to rest once and for all. Nick takes her phone from her hand. Sharon cries that she has one favor to ask. Would you stay with me when Chance puts me under arrest? Nick says, Sharon, I'm sorry, but I do not believe that you did the things you've confessed to. The woman I know would never intentionally hurt anyone. Sharon says she did do those things. All of them. He asks if she's absolutely sure. What if her medication is causing her mind to play tricks on her? Sharon can't let Daniel suffer any longer. She planted the evidence in his apartment. So many times he came to her looking for the truth, and she blamed it on Phyllis for poisoning his mind. Look at her now. She's unconscious in a hospital. Everyone thought she was crazy. You, Chance, and her kids, and everything Phyllis accused me of is true. Nick protests, no, he's really struggling with this. Sharon apologizes for putting him through this. She sobs that Daniel had to send his daughter away because of her, and worse, he's being accused of murdering the woman he loved. She has to right this unforgivable wrong. You can't argue with that, can you? More, Melissa Ordway off contract. In Phyllis' hospital room, Chance says they don't know if this was intentional. The other driver may have panicked and drove off. Daniel notes this was by Sharon's house. Elena appears and says they're coming to take Phyllis for a CT scan. Summer and Daniel speak to their mother and ask for a sign that she can hear them. At the Abbott mansion, Jack and Diane tell Kyle how difficult their ruse was to keep up. Kyle says all the times Diane lashed out at him seemed to come pretty naturally. She says he gave it back pretty good and he wasn't pretending. Kyle points out she had him convinced she had only come back for power and money. Bravo. He tells her she brought back all of the feelings from the first time she betrayed him, when she fired him from Abbott, or when he found out she was alive after pretending to be dead. Diane cries that she'll live with regret for the rest of her life. He says, "You hit me both." Diane and Jack tell him he'd gotten cocky at Abbott, so she fired him. Jack says when they found out he was mixed up with Victor, they had to save him from his corrupt influence. Kyle doesn't see how putting him on an emotional roller coaster was saving him. Jack and Diane explain that he wouldn't listen to them. They needed Victor to take the bait, so he would fire Kyle and hire Diane as CEO. Kyle points out he didn't take the bait. He told him. Diane kept it up until he gave her one last hoop to jump through. He promised to give me glissade if I fired you on the spot right there at Abby's wedding. Jack tells Kyle that Victor didn't want him to succeed. He didn't even care about glissade, no matter how hard he'd worked on it. Kyle asks if they expect him to believe he invested in a company just to watch it fail. Jack says he wanted to watch Kyle fail and make him lose his son. This was all about Victor's insatiable need to pay him back. Kyle asks why they let it go on so long and put him through another firing, in public. Jack says they had to take it to the limit to force Victor's hand. Diane says the only way to save him was to let him fail. Jack is thankful that he's out from under Victor's thumb. He can never hurt you again, Kyle. Kyle is going to need some time to process this. Diane reiterates that they did this to protect him. Kyle asks, "What if your grand plan didn't work?" Victor's unpredictable. This could have backfired. How far would you have been willing to go to maintain your big lie? Would you have been willing to actually lose everything? Diane says she was prepared to sacrifice everything to save Kyle from Victor. Kyle muses that she's the protective mother again. What happened to wanting it all? Diane says there's some truth to that, but for him, she'd give it all away if she had to. We love you. Jack hopes with time he'll realize they did this for the right reasons. Claire reappears and Kyle tells her, "Perfect timing. Let's get out of here." At Sharon's place, Nick agrees this can't go on any longer. It's not fair to Daniel and Lucy. Sharon asks him to call Chance for her. She can't do it without breaking down. Nick pulls out his phone and makes the call. Chance answers and asks where the hell he is. Nick asks for an update on Phyllis. Chance says she's still unconscious. Nick asks about Daniel and Summer. Chance says Daniel is holding it together and Summer's asking for him. Nick tells him he's at Sharon's and they have a situation there. He needs to come out right now. Chance says he's on his way. Nick disconnects. Faith comes in and notices Sharon's been crying. "Mom, what is it?" At the hospital, Chance tells Summer and Daniel that Nick called and he has to go meet him. Daniel asks if this is about Sharon. Chance doesn't have specifics and cautions against jumping to conclusions. After he walks off, Daniel asks Summer, "Am I jumping to conclusions? Our mother was on a mission to prove Sharon killed Heather." Summer asks what he's saying and exclaims that this is a nightmare. Daniel says Phyllis confronted Sharon multiple times with her accusations. Sharon got caught snooping in their mother's hotel room. And the next thing you know, she's been run off the road down the street from Sharon's house. It's all too coincidental. Summer asks if he's saying he thinks Sharon ran their mother off the road. Daniel says it all seems pretty damning to him. Elena joins Summer and Daniel and says their mother will be back from the CT scan shortly. She has an injury involving the brain, striking the skull after an impact. There's nothing they can do but watch and wait. At Sharon's place, Faith asks, "What is it?" Sharon announces she has to change her clothes before Chance gets there. She asks Nick to tell Faith what's going on and warns him not to hold back. Sharon leaves the room and Faith starts panicking. She heard there was an accident near there and wants to know why they're waiting for Chance. Just then, Maria comes in. Faith tells her their mother is super upset about something. and her dad was just about to tell her why. Maria asks, "Nick, what is it?" Nick sighs, "Your mother just confessed to killing Heather." Maria and Faith don't believe it. Nick says Sharon's description of that evening is frighteningly detailed. She's having problems with her meds and blackouts. She doesn't think she knew what she was doing. Faith cries, "Oh my God, that's why you called Chance. Mom is going to turn herself in, isn't she?" Mariah gawps, "What?" Faith cries that there's no way her mom killed anyone. She thinks her mom has been led to feel paranoid and delusional. This was all Phyllis' fault. More, Sharon's hellish days ahead. At the Abbott manse, Jack tells Diane that it might take Kyle a while to understand their motives. Diane worries she caused permanent damage with their son. He said some really hurtful things to her. Jack says he said those things in the heat of the moment. He doesn't believe he feels that way. Diane says his anger toward her is right under the surface. She's sad about how wounded he still is. Jack knows this was painful to listen to, but they forced him to that point for a reason. Diane worries about the arguments they had. It felt real. Jack assures her he has no hidden resentment. He's sorry for any pain he caused, he just wanted to be convincing. Diane fears they were too convincing and lost Kyle anyway. At the club bar, Claire can't believe Kyle's parents went to those lengths to make a point about her grandfather. Kyle feels completely blindsided and numb. He asks what Claire thinks and how she feels about learning that her grandfather is a spiteful, vengeful man. Claire says his ruthlessness in business and his rivalry with Jack have been well documented, but she's not part of this. The only thing that matters is how he feels about it all. Can he accept that his parents did this all for him? Kyle says working with Victor was a colossal mistake, but his problems with his parents started way before that, so he's nowhere near ready to forgive how they treated him. Claire suggests the anger is a lot to carry around. Maybe it's time to let go of the resentment. At the Abbott mansion, Jack thinks Kyle will come around. He's starting to see Victor used him, and they had no other way to convince him. It won't erase the anger he felt before Victor pulled him in. They'll have to repair that damage too. Diane shrugs that at least he's no longer under Victor's control. They talk about how much they hated being apart. Jack tells Diane he loves her more now than the day he married her. They kiss. More, Eric Braden explains Victor's actions. In the hospital, Summer and Daniel appeal to Phyllis to pull through. She's a fearless fighter who always beats the odds. "We love you." Daniel adds, "And we need you. I can't deal with another loss. We are not going to bury someone else that we love." More, Ian and Jordan's diabolical plan. At Sharon's place, Faith rants that Phyllis pushed Sharon too far. Nick says they're not going to point fingers right now, especially with Phyllis in the hospital. Chance arrives and asks Nick why he's not at the hospital. Sharon appears and Faith runs over to cry and hug her. Sharon tells her daughter that she's sorry to say that it's all true. Chance asks what the hell is going on. Sharon says, "Phyllis was right. Daniel is innocent. I framed him. It was all me. The DA needs to drop the charges against him immediately, and you need to arrest me for the murder of Heather Stevens." More, what really happened at Phyllis' car crash. Next on The Young and the Restless, Victor makes an impressive addition to his empire. Jack and Diane are busted, and Sharon is backed into a corner. Will the Young and the Restless return the charming Tucker McCall? Well, the rumor mill is buzzing again as a cryptic tweet is making rounds on X/Twitter. It reads, "Looks like Traverse John is on his way back to Genoa City at @CBS. The fans are losing it. Is Trevor Street John, who's done a splendid job playing Tucker, returning to the CBS soap? Find out. Trevor Street John as Tucker McCall again." The Young and the Restless fans are keeping their fingers crossed to see John's Tucker back on screen. But let us tell you, it's not just this puzzling tweet that has fueled this Tucker frenzy. Let's backtrack a bit to the October 30 episode, where Y&R dropped a few breadcrumbs for all of us. So Audra Charleswell, the young and the restless return the charming Tucker McCall. Well, the rumor mill is buzzing again as a cryptic tweet is making rounds on X/Twitter. It reads, "Looks like Trevor's is on his way back to Genoa City at UER_CBS. The fans are losing it. Is Trevor Street John, who's done a splendid job playing Tucker, returning to the CBS soap? Find out. Trevor Street John as Tucker McCall again." The young and the restless fans are keeping their fingers crossed to see John's Tucker back on screen. But let us tell you, it's not just this puzzling tweet that has fueled this Tucker frenzy. Let's backtrack a bit to the October 30 episode, where Y&R dropped a few breadcrumbs for all of us. So Audra Charles was finding it tough to navigate a business disaster. She ended up spilling some tea to Sally Spectra to ease things up. Moreover, the lady vented out her frustrations that her old contacts have ghosted her. Yep, it was a hint that Tucker might be behind her troubles. As for Tucker, who last appeared in June, has been haunting the storyline ever since. Is Y&R gearing up for a clever setup for a grand return? That's the million-dollar question. The character left Genoa City with unfinished business, particularly with Audra. So it wouldn't be surprising if he pops back to settle scores. Tucker will do his tricks from behind the scenes, whether he comes back with a fresh face or under a renewed contract. Meanwhile, Audra, our pro hustler, isn't backing down despite the chaos Tucker might be causing from afar. She'll rebuild her reputation and maybe even find love. Nate Hastings. The man seems to be falling for her, but let's be real, this is Y&R, where no romance comes without complications. If Tucker does return, Audra's world could flip upside down once again. Currently, Trevor Street John has been keeping busy with other projects. Back in June, the actor urged his fans to catch him in the new movie, A Good Enough Day. Nevertheless, we should always keep one of his tweets in the back of our minds. It goes like, "Tuckers come and Tuckers go." Don't forget to check out Soap Opera Daily for more updates on the young and the restless updates and juicy speculations. Could John's Tucker McCall be gearing up for a dramatic comeback? What do you think? The young and the restless spoilers and rumors tease it may not be Sharon Newman's bipolar meds or her bipolar disorder at all that are driving her insane. Might she be the victim of a drug switch and her bipolar medications actually be LSD? The young and the restless spoilers. How long have Jordan and Ian Ward been slinking around unobserved? It was recently revealed that Jordan and Ian Ward are in town. The question is, how long have they been slinking around unobserved? Jordan had access to poison when she was holding Nikki Newman and the Newmans captive, and Ian is a known drug lord as well as a cult leader. Now that we know they were involved in setting up Phyllis Summers' wreck and using Sharon's stolen phone, are they the real reason for Sharon's breakdown? Ian could easily have access to LSD, and Jordan could just as easily have access to a hospital pharmacy to switch Sharon's meds or possibly spike them. As for motive, they both have motives for revenge against the Newman family, with Nick Newman the connection between Sharon and Phyllis. And our spoilers, Cassie Newman was Sharon's first hallucination. Cassie Newman's ghost was Sharon's first hallucination. And although Ward and Jordan have no control over what or who Sharon hallucinates, Ward has a connection. Cassie's twin, Maria Copeland, was raised by Ward, stolen by Helen Copeland on Ian's orders. Sharon's twins had been separated at birth, and Sharon didn't know she'd given birth to twins until Mariah came back as an adult, and it was a rocky mother-daughter transition. Ward lost his daughter and could easily want revenge for that, even though it was proven he was sterile and no way could he be Mariah's birth father. As an adult, she was kidnapped by Ward and forced into a drug-induced marriage, which was later annulled. The young and the restless spoilers. Cameron-Kirsten hallucination or hologram. Even though Cameron-Kirsten could likely be a manifestation of Sharon's worst fears coming as hallucinations, usually one doesn't have commonalities among LSD trips. Depending upon how long Ian's been loose, he could have easily set up technology to produce holograms, and been goading Sharon through the holograms like Phyllis through the texts from Sharon's phone. As often as Sharon has blacked out, she could have even been hypnotized, and Jordan might have the knowledge of her house from years ago. But one thing is definite, whether holograms or hallucinations, there's something desperately wrong with Sharon. What may not be so definite is whether her insanity is by chance or by design. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Y and R right now. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott are about to get a lot closer. Sally and Billy have amazing chemistry, and they just cannot overlook that spark. After talking about how Jill Abbott dismissed Billy and handed Chancellor over to Victor Newman, they just may decide to act upon those feelings. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Sally Spectra has been reluctant to sleep with Billy Abbott. The Young and the Restless spoiler reveal that Sally was a bit reluctant to get into anything big with Billy since she has just broken up with Adam Newman. However, it seems that Sally will decide they have waited long enough, and the two will act upon those feelings that have been pulling them toward each other for weeks. Sally has developed some true feelings for Billy, so this isn't about a revenge hookup. Sally may want to truly see where this goes between them. Billy and Sally have been there for each other through their latest breakups, and now they are trying to see exactly where this relationship is going. Billy and Sally may decide to take things to the next level and see where they go from there. Y and R spoilers. Billy Abbott has been suggesting a nightcap for days. Billy has asked Sally about a nightcap a few times, but she hasn't been interested. However, it seems that Sally is beginning to get thirsty, and a nightcap may be just what she needs. Suppose Sally invites Billy in, and he informs her that he really doesn't want a drink. The two of them may start kissing and finally hit the sheets. Could Billy and Sally be just what each other needs at this time in their lives? Perhaps a new romance could give them both some much-needed adult attention. After all, Billy and Sally don't have to worry about either of them sleeping with an ex if something comes up with their kid. Could this be safe place for the both of them to let go and find comfort? The Young and the Restless spoilers. Do Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra belong together? Now that Billy and Sally have decided to see where this goes, perhaps these two were meant to be together all along. This doesn't mean there won't be some jealous from their former partners, especially Adam. However, hopefully these two take things slow and work on a lasting relationship instead of a hookup. Could Billy and Sally make it as a couple in Genoa City? Will Sally be there to pick up the pieces as she and Billy work together to mend their broken hearts? Could Sally and Billy be the next super couple to hit the Y and R stage? Fans are eager to see where this goes and can't wait for some old-fashioned love and romance. Can Bill and Sally deliver?